York. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Joining us now, Congresswoman Barbara Lee, Democrat from California, co-founder and co-chair of the Congressional Out of Poverty Caucus, and Neera Tanden, president of the Center for American Progress, the think tank that partnered with the Shriver's report. Do you think that the conversation, the policy conversation in Washington, is too backwards focused in terms of fighting off these cuts and too narrow in terms of how we're thinking about solutions?
Well, Chris, we have to play offense and defense. Last year, we celebrated 50 years of the war on poverty. We had Lyndon Johnson Robb, and she came and talked about how Head Start, Job Corps, food stamps, Medicaid, how all of these great initiatives during her father and mother's time were still appropriate today, and they were bipartisan. And I have to just say thank you, Maria, for continuing with the legacy with your mother and your father, because your father was the architect of these great society programs. And so we're trying to preserve this right now against these budget cuts and against this very backwards thinking with regard to issues of income inequality and poverty reduction.
Well, Barbara, and Neera, how do you think we bring this down the line, so to speak, get some movement on this? We have a moment here. There's a lot going on, a lot of discussion, seems to be some will. How do we take it across the goal line, as they say?
Well, I think what's very interesting about this moment is actually how you're seeing a bipartisan interest in the conversation. Obviously, there are different views about the solutions, but the fact that rising inequality is becoming something that even Republicans are talking about, I think is really a demonstration of what we've seen in the Shriver report and the poll itself, which is that there's bipartisan support for issues like paid leave, child care, because people recognize we're in a new economy, that people are working harder and their wages are down and they need more family support. And that's why I think some of the arguments in the past about how we can afford to do these things are actually being overcome, not just by Democrats, but by Republicans too, who recognize that we actually are going to grow better when we invest in our families. And I think that's actually an important moment that we should recognize.
We're going to talk about some other solutions, one innovative one, particularly in Boston, that's being tried. Stick with us. We'll be back.